Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to showcase the team that I'm currently using in order to auto health 4 of DokiDoki, as well also using the same team to clear Inferno. Now for health 4 of DokiDoki, you have a 80 to 90% success rate unless they all dogpile on the same unit, then nothing you can do because you're only using one DPS in this case, like I am, right? And for Inferno, you have to manual it because he has only like a 10 to 20% success rate. And it's just not worth, wasting your stamina essentially. At that point, just farm health 4 until you get better modules. Now, we're using 4 SR units that are going to be built anyways because all 4 of them are going to be used on all content within the game. And in this case, for me, Shiata is also a unit that I use outside of Threshold. Pretty much is the unit that I use to clear all of Amber Trek, all of it, all the way to stage 41. I'm using her for all the limited events as well. Pretty much she works everywhere that is PvE related except Terror, in my opinion. Now, if you notice, as I'm going to be showcasing her stats, right? So mine has the S3 at level 5 and her passive as well. And the reason why is because you want to increase not only her damage output as much as you can, but also increase the revolutions that she gets. And that is why you have to use the passive and increase the cooldown, right? That increases the cooldown of her S3, which allows her to pretty much spam it back to back, as you can see from the runs right now. Now, that means that beginning of the game, right, it's gonna be a little tough to use her. She's not gonna feel as strong as other units, like especially let's say like a Romoka. But again, because she works on all content, literally all content of the game, with the exception of Terror, right? She's definitely worth building, and she's more of a top tier unit when it comes to end game. But again, she requires perfect Latisse. Now, the other thing too is that she requires, in this case, also a specific shell, in my opinion, which is Revelation. And the reason why is because Revelation takes advantage of her multi-hit that she does when it comes to her S3. So every time she hits and he lands a crit, Revelation is gonna apply pretty much 10% damage based on the max HP of the enemy that you are attacking. That's what she can ditch so much damage because she does 3 to 4 attacks essentially. Now, in terms of her modules that we're using, I am using Onslaught on her and Momentum, but ideally, you probably want to use Kenai. Now, I'm working with what I got, essentially, right? I don't have a good matrix right now. It's literally, all I have is average stuff. So once I get a good setup, I'm able to farm better stuff, and then I'm going to probably switch to Kenai. Now, when it comes to crit rate, you need her to have 100%, right? That's what you're aiming for. In my case, I have 89%. Again, that's my luck. Now, when it comes to Katchi the guard, my boy is here, right, in order to prevent not only status effects, right, debuffs and things like that, but also increase your defense. Now, he doesn't have to be the fastest, at least not for health 4, but for Inferno, you definitely want him to have more speed, essentially. You want all of your units to have as much speed as possible. In this case, what you want is his S3 to be at level 4 so that you can pretty much guarantee the crit success, right? So that you can apply immunity and defense up and extend the buffs on your team. And then in order to do that, you also need effect accuracy. I would say once you get this to level 4, honestly, about 185 effect accuracy would pretty much guarantee that he applies all his buff every single time. I am using Codex of Magic in this case, right? Because I want him to be able to spam his S3 back to back, just in case. And then again, I'm using Swift Rush, right? And pretty much anything else. If you want to make him bulkier, my plan was to get something with Battle Will so that he can actually go back to back attacks, because his S1 also applies meter down when he hits an enemy, and that's always good. It's just my basic logic. And then you have Reverie, which again, if you get her lucky and you just get her from summoning, but if not, you also get her for free by reaching level 10 from the growth event. For it, she's one of the 3 units that you can pick from the box that they give you at level 10. And as you can see, she is the one with the highest speed right now. And the reason why is because I want to avoid as much damage as possible. Because I don't know if you noticed, but most of my units are not really built. Right? Like, even they're like level, some of them are 5-star, and I literally just made them 5-star. Most of them are like 4-star, like Chiaki the Echo, so they can get one shot really, really easy. So I am trying to avoid as much damage as possible. The good thing about this though is that I don't have to speed tune, in the sense that because neither Katchi the Guard or Chiaki the Echo or Valerian, right? They're not really using an S3 attack, is all buffs. I don't have to worry about, losing the slumber for when my Shiata attacks. And in my opinion, Slumber is superior to, let's say, Freeze, in the sense that you actually can deal more damage. It actually increases the damage by 25%. And right, Reverie can use her S1 multiple times, which also applies Slumber. And you already saw how much damage they can do. But if that happens, what we just saw happen right now, if he does that to your Chiata, in my case, right? The run is lost. That's usually the time that I would lose the run. Now, in terms of the shell that we're using for Chiaki the Echo, right, we're using Gigabit, and it's the same shell that we're also using for Reverie, right? Because you want these two to go as often as possible, right? I mean, ideally, Reverie will go right before Shiata to increase that damage, but again, if she makes a miss a turn just a couple of times in between, it saves you taking damage essentially. And as you see, we made it a mismatch. You also want her to be as fast as possible, but if possible, put also HP bonuses for the main stat so that she gets tankier and can survive a little longer. Then Swift Rush, as you saw, right? That's what we're using for speed. And then the good dandy Valerian, which is going to be for sustainability. And in her case, as also level 5 for her S3. Now, something I didn't mention about Chiaki is that I have mine as S3 as well, because I'm going to use her for Inferno as well. But here's the thing. She works at S1 at level 1 S3 right from the beginning on health 4. So it's not a, you don't have to if you don't have the Latisse. I think that if you were to choose who to invest, I would invest them on Reverie first, right? Because you want to guarantee that CC as often as possible. And also Katchi the Guard, in case you don't have enough modules, right, with high effect accuracy. Because the higher the level of Katchi the Guard, S4, the less effect accuracy you need, right? So if you were asking me who do I prioritize first, again, I would put it first on Reverie, and then Katchi the Guard, and then the last unit would be Chiaki the Echo, essentially, because she works, right? It's just gonna, if I have a 80-90 success rate, you're probably gonna drop to like a 70 success rate, essentially, because again, if she not spamming, right, the turn meter push as often, so it gives the enemy more opportunity to do what they just did, which is stun your units and so on, right? But again, the other ones are more important in my opinion. And then for Valerian, it's just that when you get her S3, right, he starts with a stack of Hazy Dream right from the beginning when you get it to level 5. And then in terms of shell, I have Artisan, right, which again helps everybody survive. And if you notice, I don't even have, again, the right metrics, but I did make sure to have as much HP as possible, right? Because the more HP Valerian has, the more she can distribute across your team, right? To help them survive even longer. There we go. He's passing that defense up and that immunity. Hopefully they do not dogpile on my Shiata right now. Alrighty. So, and then in terms of the modules, honestly, HP is what you want. And my Shiata died, right? There we go. So that's one run that we lost, unfortunately. Alrighty. So, and that, gentlemen and ladies, you got it right there. Alrighty, so now let me exit this because I actually don't need to farm this anymore. Alrighty, so in this case we got 4 wins and 2 losses. Those are the odds, right? Now I'll show you right here. See, health 4, and then DokiDoki, again, Inferno, same exact team that I used before. But you're probably going to have to manual it, or if you're willing to waste stamina, right, you can try to auto, and it's going to be one run per thing. All right, guys, so that's what I have for you right now. I'm going to be putting up some other teams that I'm working on as well, because I know that not everybody's going to have a Lily. I mean, and honestly, relying on just those really high-end units that you might not get lucky enough to get, can be difficult. So I'll put up also another team that I'm working on for Terror that is similar to this, just based on just multiple SSR units, and it's for Terror Inferno as well. and the other one that I'm working on for Aurora Health 4. All right, so stay tuned, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye bye.